Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Misakika Daweed. Just wanted to let you know that our program teaching will be get started here shortly. Just waiting for others to join in. Thank you so much for attending. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Misakika Daweed. Just wanted to let you know that our program teaching will be get started here shortly. Just waiting for others to join in. All praise be given to Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom, Rivkwa. Let you know that you are being recorded. I don't know if you see that on your side. We'll be getting started here shortly in just a moment. Just letting other people come in. Shabbat Shalom, Cisco.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom. Are you already underway or just prepared?
I'm prepared.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm just about, I don't know. I've tried to figure I better get it, make sure that it's on, you know what I mean? Make sure that it's on and operating before we get, I don't have enough time. But we are being recorded, so praise Yah. We'll get started here in just a few more moments. We'll let everybody come in.
Yeah, it's good that you got the streaming figured out again too. It looks like there's a bunch more people that are actively watching during the class, which is good.
That's awesome.
Probably
Yeah,
a bunch
that's
more that have forgotten about it that'll hop back on board too.
yeah, absolutely. I should make sure that I share this information too on Facebook to let everybody know that we are live right now. see right here.
There's a little
There's-
bit of chatter in the chat there too.
oh yeah.
Not
But
right now, but as of last Shabbats.
yeah. Our channel is individuals want to come in, but let me see, 07. I think that is my number. If I'm not mistaken. Let me stop this for a second. Yeah, make sure that's right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. There's other people waiting as well. Okay, good. Shabbat Shalom, Williams family.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm gonna wait for just a few more moments before we get started. Let me see. Wow. Okay. Again, those of you who are watching live, want to let you know that we're going to get started in just a few more moments. Yah's lambs usually trickle in when they start hearing his voice, they'll come in. Like right now. People are coming in from all across this nation. And even outside of this nation, people are coming in to want to hear Yah's teaching. You know, today we're all gathered because the Most High is calling to us. You know, it speaks about the heavens. You know, they give a conversation that you and I are not privy to hearing. And even though we don't hear the words, it's still being spoken. Most High is a loving shepherd. He's an awesome Elohim. He's always giving us information about what we need to do to make our lives better. Before we get started in our class today, I want to share some intimate details with you. Hopefully you can see my screen. I want you guys to tell me what you see. Hold on. Let me see. Is it in this? Where is it at? What did I do? Is it my library? No, it's not the library. Where's it at? Recents. I hate when this does this. Sure. Okay, I guess it's not. Downloads. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. That's what picture. How about this one here? Uh-uh. Okay. Hmm. All right. Where's my other one? Okay. All right, I want to. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is my house. This is my dwelling. This is my little modest home. I took a picture of my yard. What do you guys think about that? What do you see?
Cleanliness, purity,
Yep.
consistency.
Yeah. See the lines? Everything looks great, doesn't it? I'm not bragging. I want you to understand something. In this life that you and I are part of, we have to be able to pay attention to things around us. Okay. This yard, I get compliments all the time about how beautiful my yard is. You know, everything is manicured, everything is lined up, it's well watered, it's green. Sometimes it looks like a bluish green. You know, I cut the yard in two directions. I don't cut it just in one direction. I cut it in two directions, up and down and across. And so I get this really nice look. But also too, within that, there is the question of whether or not it is perfect. Okay. And what we have here are the things that are inside of this yard. Just off the surface, when you look at it, you don't really see what's really going on. So on the surface and what it appears to look like in the regular eyes of someone that's passing by and looking at, they say, well, your yard my yard is one of the best lawns in my whole entire neighborhood. I spend a lot of time out in the yard. And when I was doing my yard, something came to me about what am I doing and what does it really mean? It's not till we're actively involved in what belongs to us that we begin to see the errors and the mistakes or the things that are not so good. What I have there in my hand are what they call clove grasses. On the surface, they look very innocent, but these are not grasses. These are like literal plants that have roots to them. Okay. And these go very, very deep. And what they do is they appear to makes the lawn look like it's green, and it makes the yard look like it's perfect. But I have these things all within my lawn. The lesson here is that there are things that you see with the human eye that just tell you that everything's okay. And you could ignore these things. You could just go right past them and never pull them out. The problem with these roots is that they replace the roots of the natural grass. Okay. So I liken this to be the hidden things and the secret things that you and I don't know about ourselves. And we won't recognize these things until we start doing the work that we need to do. In this case, it's the lawn, but also too, you and I know that we're made from the earth and we're from the soil. And so, you know, the example would be that your lawn or the earth is a picture of your mind. Okay. So, and then also too, on the outside of you, it appears that everything's okay, but on the inside, there's things that need to be removed. Okay. And only the person that's doing the work can see this. I don't hire any other landscapers because they're not going to take the time to come in and do the things that I'm doing, right? In order to get my lawn to literally be perfect. That's my goal and that's my desire. When I was doing my yard too, I also found I found some other things that were interesting that I wanted to share with you. Let me see right here if I can pull this up. I think I've shared it before. That's not it. Okay. Back in the day, I shared this plant with you and I was like, okay, I don't know what the problem is. I really don't know the problem. The other side is very beautiful. This one here is not doing so well. And the first time that we discussed it, I said, well, you know what? I don't know. Is it getting too much sun? Is it not getting enough sun? Is it getting too much water? What's going on with it? Why is it looking like this versus another photo that I have of one that's exactly the same on the other side? And it's just beautiful and it's blossoming. What I discovered, everyone, is that when you spend time out in your yard and in the environment, you will be able to find things. So what I did was I said, okay, this is not draining that well. It doesn't seem like it's draining. So I know there's holes on the bottom of this pot. Okay. Yeah, I use this agriculture to teach us. This is a reason why you should use your hands and your eyes and your senses. So I know underneath this pot, there's holes that's supposed to allow the drainage of the water to go through the pot all the way down to the bottom to these holes. Okay. As you can see, this pot is sitting on top of dirt, it's on top of soil. And so I said, well, let me figure out why is it not draining? So I flipped the pot over. I turned it over and I looked on the base underneath here just to see whether or not, the holes are plugged or what's going on. What I discovered, everyone, that it was there was a root system that is coming from a tree in part of my yard that's been traveling all the way from the tree. And what it's done is it went up into the hole of this planter. This one from here and another one went right here. There's two holes underneath this planter. Okay. These two holes have two roots that went directly into the holes and they filled the holes. And so this root from this tree filled these two holes and it was searching for water. And that's because it's sitting directly on the soil. I didn't know that these roots have taken a place and a residence inside of the pot. I didn't know that. And when I looked underneath it, they were directly connected as if the root system in here went down to the bottom and filled and went into the ground, but that's not true. The roots were too big, and this root system on this is completely different than this tree. So what is the point what I'm trying to make? What I'm trying to let you understand is that roots will find their way into something. And then once they get in there, they'll stop the flow of water, okay? They'll stop this plant from breathing, okay? And it was killing my plant. The root system that came from this tree was killing my impatiens, okay? And so also I noticed that the root system has an intelligence built into it. It's looking for water. It's looking for some way to survive. I bring this out because I want you to understand that there's things that you are completely unaware of that can take root in your life, and it will start trying to find a way to survive. And what it does is, if this is your mind, right? If this plant is if it's your brain is where all the beauty is, that root system is going to try to take away the beauty from this in order for it to survive. So you and I will not become the people that we need to become if there's things that are inside of us that has taken root in us that wants to survive, and you and I don't remove it. What I did in this case to fix the problem is I said, well, should I share this? Because it doesn't seem like this has anything to do with the Torah, but it does. It does have something to do with the Torah. What I did was I said, okay, the pot is sitting on top of the soil, which I need to understand that this right here is a threat. So I had an option. Either I can take the pot and remove the pot from the soil, which I would remove it from its location right in front of my house, which would then bring some imbalance to one side looking, beautiful, and the other planter is missing. So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So what can I do? Then I said, well, I'll build or put a piece of old granite that I have and let it sit on top of that and let it drain. Well, that looks odd. It doesn't look right. Okay. So what I had to do is I had to take and remove the planter or the pot, and then I had to build I built a platform with wood underneath here. So as I did, I put pieces of wood that allows the plant to sit above, okay? I want the plant to sit above the ground, that's not directly touching the ground, in order for it to drain properly, in order for it to breathe. Okay. So this is what it looks like. And I'll keep you guys posted about what it's going to look like after I finish nursing it back to its health. I share this story again because I want you to understand that you and I have to take responsibility for that which belongs to us. And what belongs to us is our minds. Okay. The Most High has given us our minds, and it's up to us to make sure that we get rid of the roots. Okay. And we create an environment for it to thrive. Okay. So I wanted to share that with you, and I'll keep you posted on what's going on with that. And then we can actually see, because that's how we learn. That's how Yah's designed us to learn. Okay. Your Torah portion this week had to do with this idea of the decrees called Kukath. Last year, there were two Torah portions that went together. It was Kukath and Balak. Next week, we're going to talk about Balak. This last prior week, we discussed Kukath. This is what we've been studying. Okay, I broke it down this way because I think that sometimes you and I can get overwhelmed with all this information. You know, Yah is interested in feeding us, and because we're his lambs, to feed us in a way that allows us to be able to, ruminate on what we're eating, to, relax and sit in a certain space for a minute, and to kind of look around and see what's going on in order so we can learn the path. I want you to know that the Kukath are what they would call the laws, and sometimes you might hear it termed as the statutes or the ordinances of the Most High. In the book of Tehillim, which is the book of Psalms 119, we find this idea of the noon. Okay. Remember, I told you that the book of Psalms is broken down into 8 verses. In every 8 verses, they give you a Hebrew letter. So in this in particular segment of the Tehillim, or the Psalms, we're dealing with this letter right here, the noon. Okay. And the noon means to continue. That's what it means. Okay. So Dawid said, I have resolved to obey your laws forever at every step. Just reading that in English, you and I would think that the laws of the Most High could be anything, it could be the MISHPACHAH, the rulings of the Most High, but it's not. What it's talking about is his kukeka, okay, which the root is the coke right here that you and I are going to be talking about today. I'm going to get another color. I don't like this color. But the idea of him saying that I have resolved, and that's within himself, to obey. It really doesn't say obey. Obey is to shema, which is to listen, to obey. This actually is talking about doing something, okay? So the word that is using to resolve is this word called natithi, right here, natathi. I transliterated it for you from the Hebrew into a transliteration in English language so you can read it and understand it, okay? The natithi, the natathi right here is this word right here. Put your device on mute for me. Thank you. So the natathi is to do something. And what is going on is when he says that I'm resolved, I have resolved, what he's talking about, I have expanded. I have spread out my mind. Okay. My libi is my mind. Okay. I've done my mind, my heart, which is my mind. I've opened up my mind. I've extended it. I spreaded it out like you would like when you're throwing seed into a field, or squash seed, in order to throw it out so it can spread out. So I've spread out my mind to do the La Asoth. Okay. I'm going to La Asoth the Kukeka. Let me see here. I'm getting a little feedback right here, but that's okay. Let's go. Let's see here. Mute him. Thank you. So I'm going to La Asoth. I'm going to La Asoth. Go back. Sorry for that interruption there. Get right here. Kukeka. I'm going to la'asov. I'm going to do. Okay, so I need an expansion of my mind in order to do what you're asking me to do. That's what he's saying. In order to not do just your laws, but in order to do your kukeka, your kok, your kukim, your kukath, which you and I talked about, or read this week, or we studied. And he says, I'm going to do this forever. Okay, that is the la'olam ekev. Okay, I'm going to do this because this will be the consequence. This word right here means the consequence of what I'm doing. He says here to every step, but in the end. Okay, going back to the name of Yaakov that talks about we're the heel of something. So the end result, or the reason why we do what we do, everyone, is in order to follow what the Most High has said. That's the consequence of spreading out your mind. So the idea behind the kukeka this week was for us to understand what we need to do. We need to expand our minds in order to obey Yah's laws. In order for us to do that, we have to remove things out of our minds. Okay, so you can spread something out, but if it's not spread out the right way and you're not paying attention, you can think that you're doing the right thing and you're not. And we're going to find out more about that today. Your kukeka is the laws or the statutes or the ordinances, which comes from the first letter called a kate, which you and I have talked about before. And a kate is a wall, and a wall does separation. Okay, and it separates and it gives you this idea of protection. So Yah's kukath, his kukim, or his laws, or his statutes, or his decrees, have with the idea of protection. It means to be set outside. Okay. I asked myself, well, why is it that there's a wall there? Why is it's always talking about a wall? What are walls around? Walls are generally around cities. Like Yerushalayim had a wall. That's a kol, right? They had a wall around it. And what it does is separates the outside from the inside. Okay, the inside is protected from that which is on the outside. So Yah's laws and his ordinance and his statutes, what he talks about, are there in order to create some type of boundary. Okay, the second letter that's used there is what they call a kof. And a kof has this idea, as we talked about, a horizon. It means that something is going to be gathered. Something is going to, like the sun is being gathered, it's light in the morning when it rises. And then when it sets, the light is gathering back to the place where it used to be. Also, too, the letter kof is used for a calculation of time. You may hear someone say, I'm wearing a kufi or a kofi, and that means literally to have a circle around their head. That's what a kofi is, or a kufi. Okay, it's a circle. And in ancient Hebrew, it's a circle with a line in it. That circle represents the sun, and the line represents the horizon. Okay, the horizon. So when the sun goes up, it goes around and it comes all the way down until it sets in the evening, which it talked a little bit about that in terms of when someone can be clean and unclean. So the kof has to do with the idea of calculation of time. Yah's laws are directly connected to the sun, the moon, and the stars. They actually have ordinances. So they're commanded to go in a circle and to stay on a cycle that Yah has prescribed for them. And the children of Israel directly connected to the stars. Everything about Yah is about timing. It's about seasons. And so we have to understand where we are and what time it is, okay? So the koch is in itself, which comes from this idea of a wall and this idea of protection and separation, has the idea to gather together the outside with the inside. So, you'll find in the Torah where the Most High talks about his set apart times, where the children of Israel that are on the outside of the wall are going to be gathered to that which is the inside. So we have this idea of unification between the outside and the inside. Okay. So there's different times in between that wall. In order to get past that wall, you don't break the wall down. There's usually a gate that you have to walk through. Okay. If it's a tent, it's a house, it has to do with you going through the door of the tent. If it's a city, then it's usually going to have to do with going through the gates. Okay. As you know, you and I, we have gates and we have doors. Okay. Somebody tell me, what are the gates or the doors that you have? What are some of the doors that you have? On your body.
Your eyes,
Thank you.
your ears,
Your eyes, your ears. Your eyes are the doors, and your ears are the gates into your city or into your home. Okay. So what you see and what you hear is what is coming into your residence or into your territory, into your borders, your boundaries. So the Coke has to do with saying, hey, I'm going to unite myself, that which is the inside with the outside. This is why it's important for us to follow Yah's laws, all right, his ordinances, because what he's saying is you guys are outside for me. You're outside from me. And what I want to do is unify you with me. And the only way that I unify you with me is through this idea of a Coke. It's an ordinance. It's a decree. That's what joins us to Yah. Okay. It's not me just saying that I want to be joined. I have a desire to be joined. So Yah's letting us know that the only way that you and I will ever have a relationship with him or be unified with him is through his laws and through his Torah and through his Mishpatim, which the commandments, they're not separate in the sense that, you know, they have a different name called the mitzvot or the commandments in English, but they still have to be performed through the Kok, through the decree. See, so I could give you a commandment to do this Kok, to do this decree. You still have to follow the commandment. And then when I give you the commandment, I have to instruct you on how to do it. So that's the Torah. And then if you don't do the commandment or you violate it, I have what they call rulings that have to correct you, which are called my judgment, which is my mishpatim. And I use a judge, a shoftim, to judge you on why you didn't do what I instructed you to do. So the Torah, the Kukim, the Mishpatim, the Pukude, the Adotheka, all these different things, the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. You'll always hear people talk about the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. It's talking about the Kukim and the judgments and the rulings and the instructions and the accountings. And that's because when you and I have walked in that gate with Yah, we have to come to him and give him the glory due to him because he is the king. So you and I are entering into the king by his decrees. See, so let's not lose sight of that. So our Elohim is a king and he has a kingdom, and his kingdom is ruled by the things that he has spoken. Okay, so this here allows us to gather together that which is on the outside of those walls to that which is on the inside to our king. The Coke, or the what they would call the, you know, some people, you could call it Coke. You could remember by calling it Coke like Coca-Cola, but call it Coke. The Coke here is, and not cocaine, the Coke here is the prescribed boundary. Is that which lets you know what your limits are. So you got to know what your limits are. And so Yah has outlined what the limits are. He has set a certain path for you and I to follow. And he says, if you do these things, then you're going to be within the limits that I've set for you. Okay. Now, there are questions that were asked in the Torah portion that we need to get the answers to. Okay. In the Hebrew, they call it lama, right? So I don't have it up here on the screen. I don't want to overwater you like that plant that you saw. I don't want you to end up looking like that plant. Okay. So I don't want to oversaturate you, all right, with the Hebrew language. What I want to do is give us some basic understandings about the things we need to know. So questions are always asked because it's a matter of you not knowing something. Hebraically, it means that it's unknown. And that's the reason why you're making inquiries, because you don't know why. You really want to know why. The questions that were asked this week, there were several questions that were asked. And primarily the question that was asked was always like, why? did Yahweh bring this community to this desert? Or why did you, they're children of Israel talking to Moshe, why did you bring Yahweh's community into this desert? Okay, so they've been into several deserts. So Bamidbar, the book of Numbers is about going into the wilderness. But a lot of us only understand it as being one wilderness. We don't understand that they've traveled all to different types of wildernesses. They weren't just in one wilderness. They were in several wildernesses, which I'm going to show you today. Okay, so every time they go to a certain desert, right, Yah was sending them there to teach them something. Okay, so they're not aimlessly walking around without no purpose. Okay, so every time Yah's bringing them somewhere, he's trying to teach them something. Okay, case in point, when Yah sends us anywhere, he's sending you here or there or anywhere to learn something. If you go on a vacation, you go to a certain land, you get there and you learn things, right? You learn to enhance you, to show you a different a different way of life, or you're there to receive information, and you're receiving that information, which you will call knowledge, is through visual observation, is through hearing. So you're using your senses. So when you get to different lands, you're picking up information. And you're doing that through your eyes, right? And that's where you get your knowledge from. So the question here is why did you bring Yahweh's community into this desert? Why did you bring us into this wilderness? To die there, we and our livestock. The children of Israel wanted this question to be answered. The desert that they went to, everyone, was the desert which you would call in Kadesh. Okay, so they went to the Zin Desert, and on the first month, and they stayed in this place called Kadesh. In your scriptures or your writings, you will see it as a letter K, called Kadesh, but it's really Kadesh. It's not Kadesh, it's Kadesh. That's the true pronunciation. That's the true letter. It's a Q, not a K. The English and Europeans have taken that letter and changed it from a Q to a K. It gives it a K sound versus a Q sound. The Kwa gives it more of an Afro-Asiatic sound than it does a Ka. Okay, a Kadesh has to do with the European, the Eurocentric way of pronunciation. The Kwa tells you, if you hear it, if you just listen to it, Kwa has more of an Afro-Asiatic tone. Okay, so sounds give you different vibrations, and it puts you up on things. It lets you know, like, okay, if we say this, and sometimes it's hard for other cultures to speak another language because they don't have the accent, or they don't have the vocal cords to say it because they're not, associated with that land or that culture. Okay, so Kadesh is the place where they went. The reason why they went to that desert is because that desert, that in particular part of the desert, is a place that's set apart. So Yah's purpose of bringing them to this wilderness, this in particular part of the desert, is named Kadesh. And Kadesh means to be set apart. So they went there and there was no water. There was no food, there was nothing. And so this is literally about if nothing exists in this place that Yah sends them to get them to look around, to use their eyes. They did some visual observation, like we've been talking about, using your eyes, okay, to open up and to look and to gather information, and so you can make an assessment. They used their eyes and they saw nothing. They saw absolutely zippo. They didn't see any water. They didn't see any food. They didn't see any trees. They didn't see, what they saw was absolutely no hope whatsoever. Okay, they saw nothing. And due to this, the Most High gives a command. And that's what I primarily want to focus on today, is about the simplicity of following the command of the Most High. Okay, he says, Yahweh said to Moshe, take the staff. That's the first command. Assemble the community. That's the second command. You and Aharon, your brother, before their eyes. And then third command, tell the rock to produce its water. You will bring them water out of the rock and thus enable the community and their livestock to drink, which tells us that Yah sees and he understands and he knows what our needs are, and he knows what we need. He knows what we lack. He knows that he wants to continue to give them what they need in order to survive. Just like that root that I showed you, or I described to you, that went on a quest to search for water, and then it went all the way up into the pot. I didn't tell it to do that. It did it on its own. So there's a intelligence that's built into the things in which the Most High has designed. That was a side note. I digress. Now let me get back to this. So Yah is giving these commands. Take, assemble, and tell. Okay. It's interesting how he tells him to tell the rock. It means to command the rock to bring forth water. So what does it tell us about the rock? If Yah says speak to the rock or tell the rock, what does it tell you about the rock? What does it tell you? What do you have in common with the rock? Does the rock hear? Somebody answer me. Does this rock does it hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Does it have ears? No. So do you need ears to hear? No, you don't. Yah's telling us that even the rocks have to obey when I speak to it. Everything on this earth, a rock that you and I will look at and you walk by, or you pick up and throw, or you have in your garden, you think that it doesn't have any intelligence. You think that it doesn't have the ability to do what Yah has asked it to do. And that's where you and I are mistaken. You see? So if a rock has the ability to bring forth water, or the rock has the ability to listen, the rock has the ability to obey. A rock. What does that say about what we need to do? You look in your garden, and you see the rose bushes, and you see the vegetables, and you see the flowers. It's all based on intelligence. It's all built into what Yah has made. Out of everything that Yah has made, he's made us to be likened unto the image that he saw fit for us. The expectation is that even the rocks are supposed to obey me. And so should you. Yah can bring water out of a rock. Could you imagine what he could do to us and what he will do for us if you and I would obey him? What could Yah bring forth from us? What can he bring? There's water, there's rivers inside of a rock. How's that possible? We don't know what Yah has stored up in anything. That's how off we are. We don't even realize, we don't recognize it. Okay. So the command was given. So what did Moshe do? He took the staff from the presence of Yahweh as he ordered him. Everything seems good there. But after Moshe and Aharon had assembled, which he did the second command, he did part 2 of the command. He assembled the community in front of the rock as Yah told him. And he said to them, not to the rock. He spoke to the people and not to the rock. And he says, listen here, you rebels, are we supposed to bring water from this rock? So we have a situation right here. Okay. The situation is we. Okay. Because Yah spoke to both Aharon and Moshe. And this is what he said. Let me see. Shalom. Shalom. Welcome. When he called those people rebels, Moshe raised his hand and he hit the rock twice with his staff. Water flowed out in abundance in the community, and the livestock drank, and their livestock drank. So getting the water happened, but it didn't happen the way that it's supposed to. Okay, when it says Moshe raised his hand, everyone, what he did was he established his authority. The word raise right means kum, and kum means to establish. Okay. He did not stay within the boundaries of the commandment. He went outside the limit. He went outside of what the Most High said, and as a result of that, he hit the rock twice with his staff, and water flowed out. So it seemed like everything was good. But what did he do? What did he do? What do you think he really did? Somebody tell me, what do you think that he did? What motivated him to hit that rock twice?
Angry.
His anger. Moshe was frustrated. And he was angry with Yah's people. Yah did not tell him to give his people any commentary. He didn't tell him to go and say anything outside of what he said. What was difficult about taking a staff from in front of the tabernacle that he used to open up the Red Sea and that he used to strike the land and turn the water into blood? What was wrong, or what was difficult? What was the difficulty in taking that staff, going to the rock and speaking to it? What was so hard about that? Nothing. What is so difficult for us to do what Yah says? Did Yah make it so difficult for him? Did he tell him to go climb up on a mountain, go up and go get another staff, or take one and build it and shape it and mold it and wait for 30 days and then? No. He gave him everything he needed. And Moshe and his brother, both of them, turned an opportunity into a disaster. What he did, everyone, is he mocked Yah. Moshe is the greatest example to us as a people. He mocked the Creator. You say, well, how did he do that, Akika? The word for mocking is called a lol. A lol. You can see there's 3 letters. So obviously, this is a child. Obviously, the Hebrew language has parents and there's children. So you and I would, somebody tell me, what 2 letters do you think are the parents? Let's talk about the parents. Which out of these 3 letters, which 2 are the father and the mother?
The 2 first ones.
The 2 first ones, which you have right here, excellent. Start from the right to the left. Father and the mother. Father is the first, the mother is the second. The third one is the child. The child and the second and the third letter are exactly the same. Okay? If they're exactly the same, it's mother like daughter. In the Hebrew culture, that's the phrase. Mother like daughter. They're both the same. When you have 2 Hebrew letters, they're exactly the same. It means that the mother and the daughter are exactly the same. Like the phrase that you hear, or the term, like mother, like daughter. So whatever the mother's like, that's what the daughter's going to be like. I don't want anybody to take this personal. This is what the language tells us. So let's figure out, and the mother can be wonderful. The mother can be terrible. The point is that the mother and the daughter are always going to be like each other. So whatever your mother is, that's what you're going to be like. Okay? Whether it's good or bad. So that's the idea that you need to understand about this letter. Okay? Or these 2 letters being. So anytime you see 2 letters, they're exactly the same in the second position and the third position, then you know that that's mother like daughter. In the Hebrew language, you can have 13 children, and one of them is a daughter, and 12 of them are sons. You hear what I just told you? 12 can be sons, and 1 can be a daughter. The daughter is always like the mother. Why is it 13? Because 1 plus 12 is 13. Well, what does this remind you of? Well, if you look back in our family, Jacob had how many sons?
Well,
He had 12, and he had how many daughters? One.
one.
So you can remember this, okay? So this is mother like daughter. So Allah means to mock, okay? If a daughter, before I go any further, a daughter that doesn't act like her mother, if her mother's a great mother and the daughter doesn't act like the mom, she's a mockery to her mother. See, often we want to talk about someone being like their father. No. Daughters are like their mothers if they're not like their mother. If your mother was wholesome, your mother was loving and she was kind, and you turned out to be a whore, and you're rambunctious and you just don't listen, guess what? You're a mockery to your mother. If your mother was like her mother and her mother was wholesome and loving and kind and sweet, and you turn around and be evil and wicked and mean, you're a mockery to your mother and your mother's mother. See? So that is what brings us to this idea of what Moshe and Aharon did. When we talk about being a mockery to the Most High or to anyone, it means that you and I are acting in a very severe way towards someone. Okay? We're acting severe towards someone, right? That's what this word of law means. It's acting very severe. Okay? Literally to make a fool of someone. You know how you're I remember my grandmother used to say to my mother and her sister, "No, don't you make a fool out of me." And the fool of me is she used to have everyone, my mother told me that she used to make them get up on, unfortunately, on the Shabbat, and they would have to wash all their clothes. They're from Texas. And you have to wash all your clothes. You have to starch them. You have to iron them. You have to get up real early in the morning and clean up everything and get the house right and all this kind of stuff and prepare dinner and cook everything. They would cook everything on Saturday so they can have it on Sunday dinner. So they just had the Shabbat messed up, you know what I'm saying? But the fact is that they said, don't make a fool out of me. And that's what Aharon and Moshe did. They literally shamed the Most High by their actions because they didn't follow the commandment. Okay? So I just told you what the daughter is, the child. I'm going to tell you what the parents are. We talked about this before. These are parents that you and I need to always look at. If any parent in the Hebrew language that you and I need to look at, the couple, these are the couple that we need to look at. There's several other ones, but this is a very powerful parents right here. Okay. The word all, not alal, but all, means to be above or upon. That's what it means. So when you see these letters, it means to be above or upon. Okay. It has to do with the yoke, right? Because you'll put a yoke, like you learned in your Torah portion, the cow that never had a yoke upon her. She never had any authority upon her. Okay. That's the one I want you to take and use for the sin ashes. But here, this means to experience the staff. Where does this come from? What's the experience and what's the staff? The experience is what you have with your eyes. The staff is what you have with this letter, the lamed. That's what it means, to experience the staff, to look upon the staff, or have the staff upon you, or have the yoke upon you. Okay. So what the children of Israel were supposed to do is they were supposed to experience something. They're supposed to experience Yah's love, not experience the staff of me beating you and poking you. My experience is for you to look at your shepherd and look at how much I love you, that when you're in need, I know what your needs are, and I'm going to provide you what you need. Okay. Keep that in mind. That's what a shepherd does, because this word has to do with the shepherd, because it has a staff. Okay. So Yahweh said to Moshe, take the staff and assemble the community, you, Aharon, and your brother, and before their eyes, tell the rock, speak to the rock, tell the rock to produce its water. That's an authoritative, and so the lamed also has to do with authority. So here he's saying, a reason why I brought you out here with no water is to show you that I'm your shepherd. I'm showing you that I bring you to places that I need you to go. Like I told you earlier when we started our teaching, that you're not on this class on accident. Yah's brought you here. For what? To show you something. He's brought you here to give you the water. He's got you here so you can rest. He brought you here so you can feed. He brought you. Sometimes Yah will bring us places and it may not be something that we want. But Yahweh said to Moshe and Aharon, because you did not trust in me, so as to cause me to be regarded as set apart by the people of Israel, you will not bring this community into the land I have given them. Again, I'm showing you about the lamed, and I'm showing you about the ayin. This word right here, the Ani, means the eyes of the sons of Israel, the children of Israel. I brought you here, and I asked you to do this because I'm the shepherd of Israel. And as my under shepherds, you did not regard, okay, as to cause me to be regarded. That regard means you did not cause me to be seen in the eyes of the sons of Israel as set apart. This is the reason why you're not going to bring like a shepherd into the land. You're not leading them into this land because you don't have the right attitude, because you didn't follow my commandment, and because you didn't set me apart in the eyes of the people. Therefore, you're not going into the land. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that in just a moment. My point is that the Most High has done what he's done in order to show them something with their eyes so they can have knowledge. Of course, ayin or ayin is the first letter of all, which is the parents. So this is the eye, it means just to see. That's what an eye is used for, to see, to have knowledge, to experience knowledge. So is Yah concerned with children of Israel knowing something about him, having experiences with him? Yes. Is he concerned with us having experiences with him? Or he just wants the children of Israel that were in the wilderness of Kadesh to have an experience and you and I not to have an experience? How else could we understand the knowledge of Yah without having experiences? All of our experiences, everyone, are not going to be nice. All of our experiences not going to be full of figs and vines and pomegranates and water and beautiful melons and leeks, and it's not going to be that. Some experiences that you and I are going to have in this life is only there for Yah to give you actual knowledge about him. We only learn from Yah through the things that we see. The Lamed, which is the next letter, which is the mother of the word all, she's there. She's a Lamed. She could too also be a shepherd like Raquel. She was a shepherd. Rivka was a shepherd. They were shepherds. They had women shepherds. They were using to guide the father's flock. Miriam was a shepherd. She was a shepherdess. She was heavily involved, and you learned about her that she died in Kadesh. They were used, Aharon, Moshe, and Miriam, as shepherds. A woman can be a shepherd too. She's an under shepherd. She can hold that staff in her hand as well, which is the authority. She can lead as well. Lead who? Not her husband. She's supposed to lead her daughters. She's supposed to lead the one who is just like her. That's what she's supposed to do. And she's supposed to lead them towards something. If the husband is following what the Most High says, the wife's job is to lead the daughters to the place that the Most High is leading the husband to tell the wife to tell the children. I have to give my wife credit. She leads my daughter. She leads my daughter. into the ways of Yah. She teaches her, she sits down with her, she goes over the Jubilees with her, she goes over the Torah with her, she goes over the language with her, she goes over the diet with her, she goes over cooking with her, she does all those things. Because she understands that they have to be led to the place that Yah wants them to be. And therefore, my daughter will not be a mockery to her mother. There's authority that's given to the man and the woman. And it's you and I's responsibility to understand how to use that authority and when and how it's supposed to be administered to Yah's sheep. It is not you and I's job to reinforce negative behavior. It's not our job to tell a rebel consistently how we feel about them. A rebel is a rebel, and just like the children of Israel were rebels, the Most High knew that, but he didn't send Moshe to tell them to go tell the rebels anything. God doesn't need any additional commentary from anybody that he's put over in a leadership position to tell his people something that Yah already knows. Yah is trying to lead them away from being Hamorim, from being these bitter people. And what happened was there was a loss of an opportunity for the children of Israel to have that experience with the Most High. Because someone got into the emotion, some leader, some man got into his emotions. Some under shepherd thought that he was the ultimate shepherd. Him and his brother, they took it personal. There's no room for our own commentary with Yah. Yah has given a command. He has not given any commentary. He's not looking for our opinion. He's not looking for an extension of what we believe and what we think and what our recommendations are and our suggestions. Neither should we turn from the right or to the left of what the Most High has said. The question is why the additional lamed? Why is it that that's extra staff there? Why is it there? It's there because, of course, it's the daughter from that perspective, but here means something. It means that the authority in which the Most High has set in place, which is just this. Moshe and Aharon added their own staff. They added an additional staff. They didn't have the children of Israel look at this, which is to see the authority of Yah. What they wanted is for themselves to see their authority. That's where we make our mistake. All of us, not just the men, not just the women. All of us make our mistake when you and I try to add an additional staff, an additional leadership, an additional authority, additional leading outside of the path in which Yah has said, which is Yah's Hukim, which is the prescribed path you and I are supposed to walk on. Anytime you add anything or subtract from anything the Most High said, you are putting your own twist and authority on it, and therefore you are making a mockery of Yah. You're trying to make Yah into a fool. He does not need any additional commentary on anything that he said. Nothing. If Yah has prescribed for us to keep the Pesach the way that he said, there is no addition or subtraction. There's nothing to be added to the Shabbat. There's no extra commentary. That's why the New Testament is nothing but commentary. It's people telling you what they said, what Paul said, what Peter said, what John said, what all these other people said, but they don't say, "Thus saith Yah." But they're telling what everybody else said. That's a mockery to the Most High. You're making a fool out of him. And because you've made a fool out of him, you and I are going to be made out to be fools ourselves. Moshe had a past experience that I want to share with you today, to bring everything into its proper context so you can understand why this was such a terrible thing that him and his brother did. Often you and I make moves off of past experiences. Something that you did 10 years ago that you thought was acceptable and you got away with it till you think you did, you would try to apply that same type of logic to today and it doesn't work. Sometimes past experiences can be good for lessons, but they're not always meant to be reenacted again and again and again, especially if that wasn't the command. The whole community of the people of Israel left the Sin desert, not the Sin desert, the Sin desert. And they were traveling in stages as Yahweh had ordered. And this is a whole nother desert. This is the first desert that they went to, and they camped at Rephidim. This is when they came out of Mizraim. They camped at Rephidim. They didn't camp at Kodesh. But there was no water for the people to drink. Yah led them to this place because there was no water for them to drink. And the people quarreled with Moshe, demanding, give us some water to drink. When Moshe replied, why do you pick a fight with me? Why are you testing Yahweh? His past experience, he was better off. I think being with a group of people, a bunch of rebels for the time that he was, it just wore him down. You know, he's known as the man, the most humble man in the world, and everyone has their limits. And they have a breaking point. And I guess at that point, he broke. And it's for us to understand and to learn from it. Yah is sharing the story not to embarrass Moshe, not to chop him down and call him wicked, like some of these fools out here are doing, but to say that, listen, it's time for you to learn from your leaders. It's time for you to learn from these past experiences. He could have learned from his past experience. He was in the same situation. He's in a desert, and the people were grumbling, and they were angry, and they started arguing with him, and they needed water. They were thirsty for water, and they were grumbling. And they asked the question, why did you bring us up? Again, why did you bring us up? To kill us, our children, and our livestock with thirst? That was a legitimate question. God brought them there to ask that question. Yah puts us in situations for us to ask questions. Asking questions is showing that you have wisdom. You're discerning things. These people were not stupid, as everyone would want to think that they were. They were grumbling because there was no water. You would grumble too. There was no food for their children. You would grumble too. So let's don't act as if we were in that situation, we wouldn't do what they've done. We wouldn't ask these questions. We wouldn't ask the unknown. They wanted to know something. And anytime we want to know something, Yah always does and always will give a command. He brings us to these places in order so the command can go forth. If no command, there's no action, there won't be no response. Like if Yah says, speak to the rock, it's only when you speak to it and say what I tell you that it's going to do what I ask you to do. But what you do, you turn around and you do something completely different. You change what I said. You change what I was looking for. You changed what I wanted the people to see. Moshe cried out to Yahweh, what am I to do with these people? They're ready to stone me. Yahweh answered Moshe, go ahead of the people and bring with you the leaders of Israel. Take your staff in your hand, command, the one you use to strike the river, and go. And I will stand in front of you there on the rock in Korev. You are to strike, second command, the rock, and water will come out of it so the people can drink. And Moshe did this in the sight of the leaders of Israel. So Yah gives a command to strike. Well, we see in our Torah portion, he said, don't strike it. He didn't even say don't strike. He says, speak to it. So one is a speak, one is a strike. Very simple. He was able to do this. So when he came to the experience that he had in the wilderness of Kodesh, he's going off his past experience. Instead of listening to the fresh command that Yah gave him, he went off his past experience of what Yah commanded him before in that in particular situation at that in particular location. And he thought because he was doing what he was accustomed to doing, what he normally had done before, he thought it was okay, and it's not okay. The moment that God gives a brand new command and a fresh command, and you learn that command, you're supposed to stick to that command. This is a problem with our people. God gives commands and they think, well, he said back here to do it this way, so we'll do it this way. If Yah gave you a fresh command, you're supposed to do what was fresh, what's new. If Yah decides that he wants to change the commands, he could do that. Who are you and I to say that he can't? What right did Moshe have not to do what he says based on his own previous experience, which can cause a problem? The point is that you and I cannot operate in the past experiences all the time. They may work, they may not work. They may not work. You see? The place that this happened, everyone, was called Masa, meaning testing. Because the children of Israel were testing Yah. Remember, he said they tested me these 10 times. That was one of the 10 times. Masa means that they've lifted up themselves against me. Now they've considered me to be a burden. And it's also called Mariva, meaning quarreling. That's the name for quarreling, is Mariva. Okay? Because of the quarreling of the people of Israel, because they tested Yahweh by asking, is Yahweh with us or not? The true translation of that is, does Yah exist or not? Is there really a Yahweh? So when you put these two stories together and you look at the two deserts, the two desires for water to drink, and the two commands that Yah has given, one to strike and one to speak, it's always about Yah trying to answer their question. Is there Yahweh with us or not? Is he really with us? So Moshe and his brother robbed Yahweh of the opportunity to prove that Yah was with them, so he can settle the quarreling. Quarreling has been part of their narrative ever since they left Egypt. This was an opportunity to change the relationship. This was an opportunity to do something different. That's why he brought them to the land of Kodesh, to show Yah's set apartness. They robbed not only Yah of that opportunity, but they robbed the community and their families. Everybody got robbed that day. It was going to be a glorious experience. They were going to be able to see Yah for who he really is, that he does love them. He knows what their needs are. I don't want you to strike this rock. I want you to speak to it. I don't want you to, the first time he asked them to strike the rock is because of the type of people that they are. They need to be struck. They represent the people. That's why he struck the rock, is he's saying, you guys are rebels, 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 rebels. Yah said, look, let's change this. I don't want to strike it. I don't want you to have to strike the rock. I want you to speak to it. Yah was trying to speak to the children of Israel through his command. And Moshe blocked that because of his emotion and because of his anger, because his pride and his arrogance at that moment, because of his frustration. Anytime you and I get to the point where our emotions try to override or take us outside of the command of the path of Yah, that's when you and I are becoming a mockery to Yah. And that's when you rob your community, your family, your children, and everyone else around you from them to be able to see with their eyes and have an experience with the Most High. That's the reason why this is written. And this is the reason why you and I are reading it today. So we can learn not to be the Mariva, to be the quarrelings, to be the people who cause problems. You see? So last week we learned about the word Rav, which consisted of a resh and a bet, which means master. Now we have this word called Reeve. The yod right here is the hand. The hand is introduced to this because it has to do with work and it has to do with power and it has to do with ownership. So what do you mean? What's a Reeve have to do with the Rav? Well, the hand of the master is the one who is supposed to help stop contention and problems. If there's a problem in the home, it's simply because the master has not resolved it. Yah has put a master ahead of every house. If you look at the letters carefully, this resh right here is the head. This bet right here is the house. The head of the house, and his hand is supposed to handle this reeve, which is the contention. That's the contention. That's the contention. You see? So It's the argument. It's the conflict. See? The Reeve is the one who is the master. The master, you said, well, I thought you just said the Reeve is the complaint. It is. It's the master of the family. Oh, I think I just did something. Switched it. Going back. The Rav is the master. He's the ruler. And he's supposed to be the one increased with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. The reason why Yah gives a master is because not just to rule, that's just part of his job. The master's job is, this is his primary responsibility, is to strive for the family's survival. Instead of Moshe arguing and calling these people a bunch of rebels, his job was to go ahead and do what Yah told him for the survival of the people, of the family. He's supposed to end that strife, but he didn't, because he broke Yah's command. If you break Yah's command, there's going to be nothing but more problems. There's nothing wrong with striving. Using everything you possibly can to achieve any goal that you want. It's okay to strive to have wealth. It is. It's okay to strive to be successful. It's okay to strive to be educated. It's okay to strive for a better health. You have to have some type of drive and something to strive after. Okay? But the problem is not just the striving. It's the strife. It's the embitterment. It's the disagreements that we have in our families. It's the disagreements that we have in our nation as a people. Some beautiful individuals that I talked to this week told me something about another country. They told me about this land called Ghana in Africa. And he kept telling me over and over and again, they were happy. These people were happy all the time. Didn't see any strife, didn't see any contention, didn't see anything. Why? Is it what? Because they don't have any leadership? No, they have structure. And the goal of the master is to cause the family to continue to strive. The family has to strive in order to be successful, in order to survive. The family line will not survive when there's always contention and arguments. When there's always strife and conflict, you're diminishing your ability to continue. Israel is a difficult people. They were faced with difficulties on purpose. Yah has done this. They asked the question, why do you make us leave Egypt? Why? Why do you make us leave Egypt? Talking to Moshe. To bring us to this terrible place that in Hebrew is called Hara, this evil place. Without seeds, figs, grapevines, pomegranates, and even water drink. We don't see nothing. It's evil. There's nothing here. I wrote a note to myself that I want to share with you. The children of Israel always talked about dying. They always talked about, it'd be better for us to have died. And I thought they would rather die than have an opportunity to see Yah's power. And you know what? That's a crime. It's a crime when you and I are not, or we're so limited in our minds that we don't want to see anything from Yah. We don't want to have nothing to trust in. We have nothing to rely upon. They believed that their journeys, everyone, were useless and they were in vain. And they thought that because of where they were located. They thought because they didn't see anything. They thought because there was no food or no water or no fruit, that there had to be no purpose. And I said that these people were blind. Yeah, they had eyes and they can see the things around them, but they could see the things that are not there, but they couldn't see who's there. See? And that's what happens. When you're in a situation, we only see the things that we want to see. There's sight and vision beyond what you can see with your eyes. It's the third eye, it's the mind that you can use to see into something that's greater than what you see with your eyes. When I say that they were blind to the fact of not what that wasn't there. They didn't have enough wherewithal to know that who was there. Yah has been with them the whole time. In your Torah portion, he said that this bread that we're eating is useless. I think I got a slide in here that talks about that. And the question I have for us is it only when you and I see what we want, then we'll accept Yah? Is it only when we see the figs, the grapevines, and the pomegranates that you and I are going to accept Yah, and we're going to listen when we see that? Is that the only time that you and I are going to acknowledge and praise him? Is only when there in our eyes appears to be something good and something good exists, when we can see it? That's the problem. We're looking to see things instead of looking to understand of why. The why behind it is what you need to be after. Why did he bring us here? So the people spoke against Elohim, and they spoke against Moshe. Now that Aharon's dead, why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? There's no real food. There's no water. And we're sick of this miserable stuff we're eating. Going back to what Yah is providing. That's a problem. But in closing, I want to talk to you about remembering something. I want you, as a group of people, as a nation of Israel, as the overcomers, not only as the sons and daughters of Yaakov, from the 12 tribes of Israel, whatever tribe we're from, is that we have to remember that everything of the way in which Yahweh has led you, the children of Israel, these 40 years in the desert, had a purpose. It's always a purpose behind why Yah leads us. It's a purpose why you're in exile. In the desert, it was there to humble and test them. Yah does not change in order to know what was in your mind. Not that he doesn't know, but he wants you to know. Whether you would obey his commandment or not, whether you would do it. Not that he doesn't know if you're going to do it or not, because he already said in Deuteronomy chapter number 31, I know these people. They're going to go prostitute themselves. So anything that we experience in our life, it's not for him to know, it's for us to know. Any situation is for us to know. How are you going to respond? It's to test you. Moshe and Aharon failed their test. And after failing that test, that didn't mean that the service stopped. Aharon died, but Moshe had continued all the way until he died. He didn't go into the land, but it was years before the children of Israel went into the land. He humbled you. It's always about humiliation. It's about Yah bringing us down. A lot of people don't like this. That's why they subscribe to the New Testament, because they don't like this God. They don't like this Lord. They don't like this master. They don't like the one who is striving for the survival of his family. It says that you have allowed us to become hungry. He fed you with manna, which neither you nor your ancestors have ever known, to make you understand. I'm going to cause you to understand that a person does not live on food alone, but everything that comes from the mouth of Yahweh. That is what he was teaching them. And this is the words that he gave to the generation of those who were going into the land, that he always wanted them to remember this. And the reason why he wants them to remember this is because he can pass this on to their children and their children's children and their children's children. The 40 years in the desert was there to teach us. Yah wants to humble us. And Yah is going to test you like he tests Moshe and he tests the children of Israel, to find out in your mind whether or not you will keep and obey his commandments or not. You're sent to exile to find out whether or not you would keep his commandments or not. That's why he asked us to admit and confess. But Yahweh said to Moshe and Aharon, because you did not trust in me, so as to cause me to be regarded as set apart by the people of Israel, which you know regarded means to be in the eyes of the people of Israel, to be Kodosh by the set apart people, by the people of Israel, you will not bring this community into the land I have given them. I have highlighted in the orange, the lo he'amatem, the be the la kwashenim. What that means is that you have not regarded me and you have not shown your faithfulness to me. This word here, lo, means never. Never did you cause and verify you in me the set apartness. There's your word kodosh right here. The ha right here is cause, and this is 2 or 4, which is the shepherd's staff, because that's what I put in your hand, and ni is you. Or excuse me, me. You haven't done this. Yah is telling Moshe and Aharon as an example to the future generations that he is speaking to all those who do not set him apart and who does not trust him, that you are not going into the land. If Yah has done this to Aharon and Moshe, Yah's not a respecter of persons and Yah doesn't change. What got me was the idea behind the word lo. That means you never. And I say, Yah, did he never? He never caused to have faith and trust in you? What does that mean? What does that look like? Didn't he do all these other things and signs? And didn't he say a whole bunch of words and teach? Didn't he go into the tabernacle? And didn't he go up on the mountain? Didn't he do all these different things? So why would you say never? Because Yah's telling us that there's going to come a point in time where you're going to have to be tested. And the test is whether or not you're going to set me apart before the eyes of the people of Israel. That's the test. This word aman right here, that's where you get your word amen. You know, amen, A-M-E-N. That's where that word amen comes from, but it's called aman. Take the E out and put an A. Okay, aman. And aman means to be supportive. Okay, so when you talk and to believe and to trust, when you and I believe and trust and depend on what Yah has said, and we're going to support what Yah says. So what he was talking about is that you didn't show any support towards the commandment. You did not support what I said. You never show and cause to show support. The leader, Moshe and his brother, both of you guys haven't done this. Did Yah cut them off from their people? No. Well, there's a consequence for this. You're not going to go into the land. Anyone that does not have the ability to do this in the eyes of the people and to set Yah apart, you're not going into the land. Because they robbed the Most High of the opportunity. And what they did was they caused others around them who have been resistant to change to continue to contend and to fight against the Most High. Instead of them at that moment having contentment, as you notice in Torah portion, after they received the water, they continued to argue and complain with Moshe, and therefore the Most High sent fiery serpents upon them. When you and I are contending with Yah, we're fighting against Yah. We're going viciously against him. And the question is who's going to stand up and be the example among the people? You can be gifted leader. You could be a performing miracles. You can know the Hebrew language. You could be a great, outstanding teacher. But the moment that you and I fail to set Yahweh apart from all other things, including your emotions, there is a consequence for that. And Yah is not going to change. So, let's do something different. Let's be better examples in our families and to one another, especially in the time in which you and I live. Let's set Yah apart, not only through our observation of the Shabbat. Well, let's set him apart from how we feel. And let's keep him set apart from those things in which cause others to fall away from him. Let's move him away from the nonsense. Let's move him away from our conversations. Let's keep him outside of those things that don't appertain to the things of the Torah. Let's don't add or subtract from anything in which the Most High has commanded. Let's humble ourselves enough to understand that Yah is trying to get us to see something. Even when it doesn't appear that there's anything there and you're in a place of destitution of your mind and you don't see the things that you think you deserve or you should have, understand that you're there so Yah can show you his glory and his power. Hallelujah. The Torah portion for next week is the Torah portion called Balak. It's in chapter number 22, verse number 2, all the way to chapter number 25, verse number 9. Your Haftarah is in a book of MISHPACHAH, which is called Who is Like Yah, chapter number 5, verse number 6 through chapter number 6, verse number 8. I'll say shalom to you, MISHPACHAH. Hallelujah. Praise be to the mighty Yahweh. Does anyone have any contributions?